Hi, welcome back. I give an example here, ladies and gentlemen, of once again what I think is conventional wisdom in Washington missing it on Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, the shutdown. And I don't mean to be picking on Ross Douthat here. He just happens to have a piece in the New York Times today that fills the bill. So does John Podhoretz in the New York Post today. And this portion of a paragraph from Douthat today sums up well the inside-the-beltway thinking about what just happened. And he's, in his opening paragraph, he acknowledges that they're good people and they're decent and they're nice and that they do respect, you need to respect their philosophy and their strategy and thinking about what they're trying to do. But then after you do that, after you accord them the proper respect, then however you slice and dice the history, the strategy, the underlying issues, the decision to live with a government shutdown for an extended period of time inflicted modest but real harm on the economy, needlessly disrupting the lives and paychecks of many thousands of hardworking people who are now going to get a raise in January, and further tarnishing the Republican Party's already not exactly shining image in pursuit of obviously unattainable goals, was not a normal political blunder by a normally functioning political party. It was an irresponsible, dysfunctional, deeply pointless act carried out by a party that, on the evidence of the last few weeks, should not be trusted with the management of a banana stand, let alone the House of Representatives. That excerpt is fairly representative, I think, of the... Now, Mr. Douthat considers himself a conservative, by the way. The conservative inside the Beltway, the New York, Boston, Washington corridor, if you will. That establishment thinking is exemplified here. Okay, look, we've analyzed what you did. We've listened to your explanation of it, but my God, you guys are stupid, and you're not qualified to do anything, and don't you ever try this again. That comes later in the piece. Don't you ever do this again. As though you would speak to your kid who broke a window by accident at first, then did the second one on purpose, and that's when you took him seriously, and then you sat him down. Don't you ever do it again, little Billy, or then I'll get really mad, or whatever parents today say when their kids act like absolute reprobate heathens. I wouldn't know. And here's what they're missing. Not only did we in Flyover Land learn that one guy could bring all this to a screeching halt, one guy can get media coverage, one guy can draw attention, one guy can draw the media off of Obama, one guy could do it, the right guy. And then we say to ourselves, what if there are 5 or 10 of them? What if there are 45 of these? Now that makes the Inside the Beltway types just shudder in fear, that concept. But we have not learned our lessons. Here's the thing. And Mr. Douthat says, well, if you listen to Red State, it's Eric Erickson, talk radio, what's his actual line here? Let me see. I didn't highlight it, so I'm having, here it is. The mentality that drove the shutdown, a toxic combination of tactical irrationality and the elevation of that irrationality into a conservative litmus test, may have less influence in next year's Beltway negotiations than it did this time around, thanks to the way this has ended for the defunders after Boehner gave them a pretty much all the rope that they had been asking for. But just turn on talk radio or browse Red State or look at Ted Cruz's approval ratings with Tea Partiers, and you'll see how potent their mentality or this mentality remains, how quickly it could resurface, and how it means that, they might not actually go away even though we're telling them to go away. It could resurface, and how easily Republican politics and American governance alike could be warped by it again. So Mr. Douthat typifying the Beltway thinking inside conservative mainstreams. About, we respect you. We've examined what you did, but you're fools. Don't ever do this again. But we know that you might. And then it's going to be all over. Well, here's the truth. And yeah, I'm on talk radio telling you this. I don't know about you folks. I'll speak to myself, for myself, but I think I'm speaking for a lot of you. What do you mean learn our lesson? We haven't learned the lesson the establishment hopes that we have learned. The lesson they hope we have learned is that we are not qualified to play in this arena, that we really don't know what we're doing. We're not qualified to run a banana stand, much less the House. And we hope we've learned that. They hope we've learned. They hope we've seen what a mess we made. They hope we have seen how dangerously close to the end of the world we brought people. And they hope that we see this and will never, ever do it again, that we will leave this to the adults next time. Them. But we, instead of learning that lesson, what we have learned is we've got to come back stronger next time. We've got to come back with more than just one Ted Cruz. Instead of never doing it again, the answer is coming back stronger. And I sense, by the way, in talking to people, that there's a mindset for that, a positive mindset. Speaking of Ted Cruz's poll numbers, how about Obama's? This is, with all due respect for those of you inside the Beltway, those of us out here don't understand why you look at Ted Cruz as your number one enemy and not Obama. And why you look at Mike Lee and Cruz and maybe even Sarah Palin yet, or Talk Radio or Red State or whoever. Why are we the enemy? We're not doing anything. Barack Obama has got the wrecking ball. Why can't you people focus on Obama? That's the question we ask. Like my friend at dinner said last night, if for no other reason the guy's incompetent, can you not even say that? Can you not say he's incompetent because of his pedigree? Well, he came from Harvard. He was law review, so he can't be incompetent. So the fact that he doesn't know what he's doing on foreign policy, abject embarrassment. The fact that he has no clue about websites, building them, maintaining them, operating health care. What else does this guy want to run that he's totally unqualified for? But are you not even prepared to go that route because, well, he's the first black president. We can't go. That charges of racism would flow. Call the first black president incompetent? No way. We're not going to do that. Besides, the guy went to Harvard. He's one of us. He's got the same pedigree education we've got. We're not incompetent, so how can he be? But he is in the real world. If you don't want to go after Obama on ideological grounds, go after him on the fact that he's simply overwhelmed by the job, outmatched by it, and hasn't the slightest clue. Now, I don't have to believe that, but it would be a way. We out here are wondering why you're so afraid of us and Ted Cruz, and you don't even get anywhere near criticizing Obama the way you do Ted Cruz and Sarah Palin and other upstarts. And we scratch our heads over this. Because we don't look at ourselves as the enemy. We think we want the same things you do. Maybe we don't. Maybe you do want a big government with yourselves in charge. But we don't. But as I say, speaking of polling data, Ted Cruz's numbers, yeah, whoopee. What would you... A Ted Cruz poll is irrelevant. For 6 weeks, we get nothing but news stories. Ted Cruz is an idiot. Ted Cruz is mean. Ted Cruz is selfish. Ted Cruz is dumb. Ted Cruz is anti-what? And then we're going to do a poll on Ted Cruz. And then the poll is going to show that his approval numbers are way down. Well, big whoop. Why don't you do 6 weeks of anti-Obama news and then take a poll of him and see what you get? Instead of 5 years of fawning hero worship, and even with 5 years of hero worship, 5 years of fawning, 5 years of being practically news Obama groupies. Obama's Gallup daily approval poll after the deal was reached, Obama dropped a point. 42% approval rating in Gallup, their daily tracking poll, October 14th to the 16th. So it would include yesterday when the magic of the deal was done. And Obama's approval dropped a point. And they want to tell us what Ted Cruz's numbers did. After they and everybody else in the media beat Ted Cruz up for 6 weeks or longer and then take a poll and think you've made news with it. This is news. You build up Obama, you fawn over Obama, you're groupie over Obama, and you can't get him up a point instead of down a point. 42% approval. What are mainstream media polls but echo chambers? You go out, you do 6 weeks of trashing Ted Cruz, and then you take a poll. And the poll says 27% like Cruz, and the rest think he's an absolute, total lunatic insane. Then you publish the poll, and oh no, my God, Cruz is destroying the Republican Party. No, he's not. You guys are sitting around, let the media do that for you. So obvious to those of us out here. Another time out, back right into your phone calls when we get back.